Hello everybody, it's Maikito. The reason why there was no video last night was because first of all I worked late. Second of all, the props for the slate today didn't come out till like 1 or 2 a.m. my time. So by that point, it was just too late to be able to release a video. But they did release a Friday slate pretty early. Went through, found a couple picks that I did like, so I'll get straight into those. My first pick is Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, who got higher than 2.5 saves. Playing away from home for Torino, going up against Venezia. He's gone over in both games so far this season. He had 3 away to AC Milan, and then went over with 8 at home versus Atalanta. And Venezia in their first 2 games have had tough matchups. And even then, the opposing keepers they played away and against Lazio and had 2. And then they played away also against Fiorentina and they went over with 5. They've had 2 tough away defenses that they've had to play away against Lazio and Fiorentina, and now at least they get to play at home. And while Torino is still a decent side defensively, they're not as good as Lazio and Fiorentina, so they have a better matchup in general. And Torino, on the other hand, gave AC Milan, who played at home, 26 shots, with 6 of those being on target. And they played Atalanta, who played away, and gave them 25 shots, with 9 of those being on target. And Torino, in my opinion, are likely to put up a good fight against Venezia. If anybody scores first, it'll probably be Torino. So I see a lot of Venezia needing to attack to try to beat Torino, and I think at 2.5 is just too low of a mark. Venezia is new to the league, and they've done relatively well. Even though they haven't won against Lazio or Fiorentina, they still put up a decent fight, and now they finally get to play a home game against Torino. So I like this prop. I like Milinkovic-Savic to go higher than 2.5 saves. My next prop is Karol Mets to go higher than 0.5 tackles, playing away from home, going for St. Pauli, going up against Union Berlin. He averaged 0.65 tackles last season, and in the first game in the Bundesliga, he went over with 3 against Heidenheim. And in including that game, in the last 5 that he's played, he's gone over in the 4 out of the 5. With the ones, obviously, when he didn't go over, he had none. But in the ones that he did go over, he had 3, 2, 2, and 2. So it's not like he goes barely over with 1. He either gets none or he gets a lot, and I expect him to be one of those games where he gets at least 2. Berlin's attack comes mainly from the right, which is their left, which is where Metz plays, which is what I like. From Trimmel, who is the right wingback, who goes up and sends a lot of crosses and long balls. A lot of Union Berlin's attacks come from him providing the ball for them, so he's going to be needed to try to stop him from getting those crosses in and getting those involving his teammates, so he's going to have to be there and try to stop him. And then in the first game, the opposing center back that guarded Trimmel had 2 tackles, and then the left wing back, which is the same formation that St. Pauli's going to run, had 1. So they were trying to tackle him, trying to stop him too, and I expect him to at least go for 1 tackle. He doesn't even have to successfully tackle him. He just has to go for the tackle, which is what we need. And they're playing away from home, which means it's going to be more Union Berlin attack, which obviously means more defense that St. Pauli's going to have to play. So I like this mark for Karol Mets to go higher than 0.5 tackles. My next prop is Alexander Lacazette to go higher than 2 shots, playing at home for Lyon, going up against Strasbourg. Last season at home in the league, he averaged 2.7. We need him to take at least 2, and he actually played them twice at home last season, 1 in the league and 1 in the cup, and he had 3 shots and 2 shots in those games, so he had 2+ in both games against them. And Strasbourg last season were in the bottom 5 worst away defenses in the league. In the games they've played so far, they gave Montpellier 8 shots, but they just in general don't have a good attack. And then they gave Rennes 14 shots, which is pretty decent. And Lyon have played 2 bad first games against Monaco and against Rennes, not winning. They just haven't been able to find their stride. So now they have a better matchup against Strasbourg, and they need to take advantage of that if they want to try to get their first win this season. They have a better matchup. They've played. They haven't had any good games, but if anybody's going to help them get out of that slump, it's going to be Lacazette. He was the top scorer for them in the league. He had 19 goals for them, and the second highest scorer for Lyon only had 4. There's a 15 goal difference between him and the next high scorer, so he was their attack, and he's the one that's going to have to lead them with his experience to try to get them out of that slump. And I think a 2.0 is a good mark to take Alexander Lacazette to go higher than 2 shots. My last player prop that I like is Elijah Adebayo to go higher than 2.5 shots, playing at home for Luton, went up against QPR. They just played each other in, I believe, the EFL Cup, and Luton played QPR away from home, and he still managed to take 4 shots, including that game. He's gone over this mark in 3 out of 4 games this season. The only game where he went under was in the first game against a tough defense in Burnley, and in that game, he had 2 shots. He's been playing as the main striker. Carlton Morris is there, but even he's been playing more as a playmaking role than what he usually does, and kind of been sitting back and letting Adebayo play the main role up top when it comes to an open play. QPR have played 2 away games so far this season and gave Cambridge, a team in the 3rd division of the English leagues, 16 shots, and they played Sheffield and gave them 14 shots. So it's going to be the best chance so far that Luton has to get their first win, and they're playing at home, which is even better for them. He averaged 2 shots per 90 in the Prem, and now he's playing in the Championship, where he's going to be able to take more shots than what he did in the Prem. He's a good dribbler, so he can create his own chances, and he's 6'4", who wins 65% of his aerial duels. And you can see that from the shots he's taken so far this season, he's taken 11 in the league. 7 of those have been headers, and 4 have been with his right. So a lot of his shots come from aerial duels, which is good. He's 6'4". He's gonna win those most of the time. And last season he took 18 with his right, 10 of those were headers, and 3 with his left. So usually when I take these props, I take someone who can shoot with both his left and his right. But he can shoot with his right, and he wins aerial duels. So you take the good with the bad. And I think at 2.5 is a good mark. He just went over against them. A QPR is not a good away defense or anything, and he just went over like this prop for Adebayo to go higher than 2.5 shots. I want to give a quick shout out to my partner, Underdog Fantasy. You can use code Maikito. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. It's linked in the description. And then also have the YouTube membership for those that are interested. It's for those that want to get the plays out early before anyone else, before they get bumped or taken away or anything like that. It's never required, but it is a great way to support the channel if you're ever looking for that. And then I also have like PrizePicks and Fliff and Cashapp in the description if you want to use those. And I really appreciate anybody who supports me in any way. I have one money line play. They came through for us last time. I'm going to rely on them again, but this time a different prop. And that's the Inter Milan money line versus Atalanta. Last season in the league, this hit 14 out of 19 games. And Atalanta lost 7 out of 19 away games. They conceded 26 goals in those 19 games. And the reason why they didn't lose as many is because they had a good attack. But they lost 2 of their main attacking threats, and Lookman and Koopmeiners. Lookman wants to leave. Koopmeiners has already left to Juventus, and then even then, other players that can replace them are all injured. Scamacca, Zaniolo, and the attack are injured, and then some of their defenders that they used a lot last season, like Kolasinac and Scavallini, are also injured. And Inter have been able to score 2 goals in both games that they've played. So they're going to be able to attack, and they also have a great home defense. They've beat Atalanta in the last 5 games that they've matched up against each other, going to past seasons as well. And they're undefeated against them in their last 12 games against them in general. And in last season, in the 19 home games that they've played, in those that Inter won 14. The ones that didn't win, only 1 of those were losses, and that was back in like September of 2023. And their only main injury that they have out is Lautaro Martinez, but even then they've been doing good without him, and he's likely to play off the bench this next game. So I think Atalanta, while they have played good in the first 2 games, they haven't played anybody like Inter Milan, who always seems to have their number every season, no matter how good they're playing or anything like that. They're the current Serie A champions for a reason. I like their lineups. I like the matchup. I like the Inter Milan money line against Atalanta. Quickly going over last video's picks. Iñaki Williams, I know he hit. Sila didn't take a single shot, which was unfortunate. Griezmann, DMP, he did not start. He came into the game in the second half, and he hit in just 1 half, so he would have started. That would have easily hit for us. Ramiro Sociedad got an early red card, which was very, very unfortunate for us, and he got the 3rd save even then with like 10 minutes to go, so that was just unfortunate for us. Bilbao did come through with the money line. That one hit, and then Atletico just couldn't find the back of the net against Espanyol. And then I had 3 added plays, 2 of those hitting, 1 of them missing. So it was still an average day. Last video, still not a bad day in general. And then there's still, like I said, a pretty good slate when it comes to tomorrow's games. Feel good about those picks as always. So hopefully we could do a little better than what we did last video. Keep the streak going from the previous videos. If you could, like the video, comment as well. It helps boost the video out to more people. Doesn't matter what you say, I would just really much appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Turn on notifications so you're notified when all these videos are out. But other than that, I hope everybody has a good night, a good day, and we can cash out tomorrow.